Have you been noticing the millions that are chanting Charlie's name in London while they're waving flags, that it's illegal for them to be showing that sign of British nationalism because they don't want to offend Islamic extremism? The country of Britain is no longer going to lie down and let their freedom of speech and freedoms be torn away by the spirit of it's the same thing that was coming over the United States. Same spirit, and it's got interrupted by Trump and by the activism of Charlie Kirk and the MAGA movement, and you're shaping history. I want to cover in this particular broadcast what General Steve Bannon is saying from the bunker there at the War Room headquarters. I want to cover Steve Miller, who's our leading legal policy prosecutor in the Trump White House, who swears he's going after the dark money and the organizations that are in the insidious underbelly of the left's killing machine that has been rioting, threatening, doxing, tormenting, and bullying you and the conservative movement for since the Biden administration and even before that. But I want you to do this. As we're getting into today's show, I wrote a book for this moment. It's called The Return of the Lion. The church is coming back with a roar. I had no idea it was going to be this incident that we catalyzed it, but the return of the lion. There's a lion coming back in to the docile sheep. And that spirit that was in Stephen that wouldn't stop until they silenced him with death is the same spirit of martyrdom that Charlie Kirk exhibited. This is heaven advancing in the midst of the United States chaos. You need to see the blueprint. I wrote it before these things happened. It's very prophetic. You can get it. How much is it, Brother Lance? Well, God's surprising end-time plan is for whatever amount you want to give. How's that for an offer you don't get on Amazon? Just go to the Return of the Lion. How can you get it? LanceWallnau.com/lion. It's yours to have for whatever you want to pay for it. Call 800-910-6349. Your giving helps to sustain our voice out there, speaking courageously the truth like Charlie every day, regardless of the consequences. LanceWallnau.com/lion. Go ahead and get your copy. Let's get into today's prophetic analysis, starting with Erica Kirk. Let's open up this segment with the beautiful Erica Kirk, video 3. What does she say as she's signing off?
Charlie, baby. Charlie, I promise I will never let your legacy die, baby. I won't. I promise I'll make Turning Point USA the biggest thing that this nation has ever seen. I promise. Charlie, I love you. I love you, baby. Rest in the arms of our Lord as he blankets you with the words I know your heart always strived to hear. Well done, my good and faithful servant.
Do you know there are people that are saying that this is a stunt she's putting on for fundraising? You cannot reason with everyone. Some people you need to silence. Some people you need to exile. The movement is growing. As a matter of fact, Turning Point's fundraising is breaking all records right now. I mean, it's pocket change compared to the Soros budgets out of Arabella, but millions are coming in, and they'll continue to come in. But the chapters have gone from like 1,200 to 30,000 chapter requests. I don't think anyone's going to be able to fill the void of Charlie any more than they could fill the void of Abraham Lincoln or Andrew Breitbart, for that matter. He had a unique composite. He was autodidactic, self-educated, never went to college, but had a kind of a genius capacity to assimilate information and to really build an organization, a $100 million organization that troubled the left, to do what he did in media, to innovate the way he did, to bring out the youth vote, to shift young men in America, black, Hispanic, and white, towards conservative thinking. He was part of he was probably the primary Christian catalyst in the recovery of America, which makes him, well, I say he is the first Christian martyr of the Third Great Awakening. But the business that we have here is before Erica can get engaged with the pouring out of the oil for healing, There's a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. All the kumbaya antics of Governor Cox out there in Utah, who is like accommodating the trans community to start with. We're going to need a different breed right now. We're going to need those that recognize you've got to go to the strongholds of hell. And that's why I cannot believe that guys like Dick Durbin and Schiff, who was the Russia hoax liar, who is still in political office. I don't understand that. Why did Bannon get sent to prison and Schiff is still running around? These people are powerful. And if you look at it in a spiritual grid, you'll see the power structure of America: financial, political, dark demons at deep levels. Yes, deep state levels. And they're now trying to critique and beat up on Kash Patel. You know why? Because Patel is about to unleash his focus and his forces on exposing and rooting out the dark funding organizational aspects behind the riots we never had exposed before. And Charlie, as the catalyst, is going to cause the Roto-Rooter to come down on Antifa, probably BLM, and the rest of that cast of characters that has been funded to produce anarchy in America. You heard Erica say that there's movement. It's not just in the United States, it's worldwide. You realize there was 3 million, I heard, people, men, women, children, rose up in Great Britain where you're not allowed to show a flag. You're not allowed to say anything, God help you, about. You're not allowed to debate about trans lifestyle or Islam in any form. Islam's taking over UK because of irresponsible open border policies started with Angela Merkel that bled right over into Britain, which is the Brexit thing. Let's break away from this influence of Europe, and they still can't get rid of it because the spiritual forces are embedded in high places. So the people rose up, just like in the United States. They self-organized, and they decided, you're not going to keep us from making our statement. And then Charlie actually became a rallying cry for them. Play video cut 6. I was watching Steve Bannon talking about the FBI investigation, but you'll see the footage going behind him of the march.
Mark Mitchell's right. We have no confidence in any of the institutions. Even with President Trump, even ourselves in charge, you don't know, because the deep state's so deep and runs the deal. We need to have the facts put forward. You need all those videos, and they got to connect the dots. We got to see it. The kid dropped off. He jumped off. There was no gun. They're saying it's in his backpack, and then they redid it and put it in the woods. It's strange credulity. Strange credulity. Get the shot off. I got some people telling me, well, it's not that hard shot. Okay, I'm not. I got Navy SEALs will tell me differently, but we'll go through that on Monday also. But also Discord, the Discord company's got to come forward. Discord said flat out they didn't have these chats. We can't find them. Maybe they're lying. I want to know that. We ought to have a timeline. We ought to have all of it. We got to get to the bottom of who pulled the trigger and assassinated Charlie Kirk, but then we got to get deeper in that. Who organized it, who financed it, who's involved with it, all of it. We're not going to have another grassy knoll. We're not going to have Charlie's assassination deteriorate into something with Kennedy, 80 years later? 75 years later, we're still debating what happened there. We're not going to we owe Charlie Kirk too much to allow that to happen. We owe Charlie Kirk's children, the little 3-year-old girl and the little 1-year-old boy. We owe them to make sure that they know the facts of who murdered their father in cold blood. We owe that to them, and I don't want to hear any more Cox. I don't want to hear any more clown from Utah, a clown and a Trump hater. I don't need to hear his voice ever again, and particularly talking about this. We need people. We need the institution to step up, and we're still out here in Utah, and I just don't know what law enforcement's doing. I don't know why they're not coming forward and actually talking about the facts. Also, on the action to clean up and either put these people, it's very simple, either put these people in prison or cow them so they agree, right, and just go around harmlessly, which I don't know is going to happen, or 3, get them out of the country. Either put them in prison or get them out of the country, force them out of the country. That's the options. It's either us or them. And they're going to burn down stuff, and they're going to assassinate people, and they're going to kill. We're not doing that, but we're going to use the full power of the government, and we're going to force people in the government to take action, whether they want to or not.
And I believe they're going to take action. I listened to Kash Patel on Good Morning, Fox, in the morning, whatever it is. And my heart went out to him because he takes a beating from everybody. As he says, we are really vigorously going into the networks right now, but he can't come out and satisfy the red meat appetite of the angry people that are in the stage of grieving because it throws off the legal case. He's got to make sure that the I's are dotted because sure as anything, the same ghastly Gestapo legal antics that tried to put Trump in prison are going to wrap around these organizations to protect their freedom of speech and their right of assembly. And so he's got to make sure that he's got good prosecutorial evidence before he satisfies the, frankly, the bloodlust of the angry masses. I understand that. But we have Stephen Miller. When I hear him, I know we have hope because Stephen Miller is a Kalashnikov. He opens his mouth and takes out 100 demons with every utterance. Let's listen to what he has to say. Video cut 4.
The equivalent of madrasas for jihadism. There is a domestic terrorism movement in this country. When you see these organized doxing campaigns where the left calls people enemies of the republic, calls them fascists, says they're Nazis, says they're evil, says they have to be removed, and then prints their addresses, what do you think they're trying to do? They are trying to inspire someone to murder them. That is their objective. That is their intent. And when you see online, Sean, as we've seen for the last few days, tape after tape after tape of federal workers, bureaucrats, staffers in the Pentagon, educators, professors, healthcare workers, nurses, celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. These are radicalized people. There is a domestic terrorism movement in this country. And let me tell you something I've not shared with anybody, but the last message that Charlie Kirk gave to me before he joined his creator in heaven was he said that we have to dismantle and take on the radical left organizations in this country that are fomenting violence. That was the last message that he sent me before that assassin stole him from all of us. And we are going to do that under President Trump's leadership. I don't care how. It could be a RICO charge, a conspiracy charge, conspiracy against the United States, insurrection, but we are going to do what it takes to dismantle the organizations and the entities that are fomenting riots, that are doxing, that are trying to inspire terrorism, and that are committing acts of wanton violence. It has to stop. And my message is to all of the domestic terrorists in this country spreading this evil hate, you want us to live in fear? We will not live in fear, but you will live in exile because the power of law enforcement under President Trump's leadership will be used to find you, will be used to take away your money, take away your power, and if you've broken the law, to take away your freedom, Sean.
The prophet Isaiah at one point trying to comfort a righteous king who was being intimidated by his enemies was, I will take the cup of trembling out of the hand of him that torments you and give that cup to your tormentor. In other words, that cup that has been intimidating and be perplexing and beating upon this conservative movement so that we lose our platforms, so that I was taken off, 250,000 followers, stripped of a platform because they didn't like what I was saying. Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, told that you're going to reap the whirlwind by Schumer in order to stir up. And then they had an assassination attempt on Kavanaugh, had to be talked out and exposed by a family member. The left, the game is up. You no longer can hide behind the pretense that you're just reporting or delivering news. You are propagandizing, and you are engaging in the most dangerous form of hate speech because you're feeding the psychoses of a young generation who actually think there is a cause and a celebration and a demonstration of valor in killing the ideological opposition who is simply trying to reason with them. That's going to end. And it's going to end because there's a different resolve. You know, you can't replace Charlie Kirk, but you can spread around the targets, and the left will not know how to do it as the millions are rising up. They can't pick off everybody, and they're in danger if they even do one more thing right now. That's the good news. Righteousness is actually sweeping the nation. Evangelism is at an all-time high. People are going to apps and they're going to church in record numbers. Why? Because they sense something dangerous, some line, some Rubicon has been crossed. And indeed it has. It's like the scene in Star Wars. I thought of this when Obi-Wan Kenobi gets killed by Darth Vader. He says, strike me down, and I will become more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Well, that's exactly what Erica said has happened. You have no idea what you've unleashed. And now's the time for very focused, not conspiracy nutty talk like Candace and all the Jew haters and trying to get Netanyahu and the Mossad involved. Just ignore it or talk to somebody else. God's going to give us a victory in this battle. In Jesus' name. We'll see you again next broadcast. Jesus is returning. His administration is a lion. He's coming back as a ruler and a judge. That's part of what the tension is about this fresh manifestation of what's going on the earth. A lot of Christians are used to Jesus, the redemptive Jesus. He's still redemptive Jesus, but he's shaking things up. Want you to find out about this for your gift of any amount. I wrote the book so it's easy to read in one sitting. LanceWallnau.com/lion. Or you can call 1-800-910-6349. And in it, I talk about the 7 steps of what's happening in the Middle East right now and what Jesus is doing as a Jew ruling upon the throne of David, the Lion of Judah, and why anti-Semitism is on the rise and how the people of God will deal with it. All that's in here. LanceWallnau.com/lion. Your gift of any amount.
Call 1-800-910-6349 or visit lancewallnau.com/lion. With your gift of any amount, you'll receive this prophetic resource. The lion is roaring. Are you listening?
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world